We finally have made it to our conversation about mammals. Now, mammals are considered to be the most highly advanced of all the animals in the animal kingdom. Today, we're going to talk about one specific type of mammal, and then we'll finish with a broader look at mammals on Friday. Today, we're going to focus in on birds. Birds are mammals, and they have some really unique characteristics that are good to isolate. There are four objectives that go along with this section. The first is to describe two kinds of feathers. Next, describe how a bird's diet, breathing, muscles, and skeleton all work together to help it fly. Third, we'll need to be able to explain how lift works. Again, that is a part of flight. And then lastly, we need to be able to describe how birds raise their young. The birds share many characteristics, believe it or not, with reptiles in the animal kingdom. For instance, both birds and reptiles are vertebrates, meaning that they have a backbone made of those vertebrae, those individual small bones. Those bones work together to protect their spinal cord, which is the more advanced version of a notochord. Both birds and reptiles have feet and legs that are covered in thick scales. We don't often think of that with birds because we get so caught up in their feathers. Also, birds and reptiles both lay eggs that have amniotic sacs and shells. So think about an egg you might use in your kitchen. A reptile egg would actually look very similar to that. Birds have some unique characteristics that set them apart from reptiles and other animals as well. For instance, the shells of a bird's egg are harder than those of a reptile's. They also have beaks instead of jaws and teeth, and they can maintain a constant body temperature. In other words, they are endotherms and not exotherms. Reptiles are exotherms. Birds take good care of their feathers. They preen them, meaning that they groom them actively. They also shed them once the exoskeleton, skin, feathers, or hair need to be replaced. Just like you and I shed hair as the hair kind of dies out or becomes less secure. When feathers wear out, birds replace them. There are oil glands that are located near a bird's tail that actually secrete an oil that helps to waterproof feathers, that helps to keep them clean, as well as to help birds when they are out in the environment. Birds have two kinds of feathers. There are down feathers and there are contour feathers. A down feather is soft and provides insulation that helps to warm a bird up. Most young birds only will have down feathers because the youngest birds can't fly yet. If you see a bird like, let's say, a robin outside on a really, really cold day, you'll notice that it looks really big and fat compared to what it might look like on a warm day. That's because the birds are able to fluff out their down feathers. It's sort of like creating a thicker comforter to wear around you. The warm air near their body is trapped and it keeps their whole system warm. Even though they are endotherms and can maintain an internal body temperature, such a small thing on such a cold day needs a little extra help as well. The second type of feathers are called contour feathers. These are the ones that give the bird its shape. They cover the majority of the external part of the body, and in adult birds, contour feathers help to attract mates and help to allow for flight. Contour feathers hold their shape because they have a whole bunch of barbs inside of them. They're sort of like the backbone of a contour feather. They link together and they, again, provide that structure and that shape to allow birds to fly. Here you can see the difference between a contour feather and a down feather. You probably associate the down feather with like little chicks because, again, young birds tend to have only down feathers, and then the contour feathers develop as they mature. Both the contour feather and the down feather have a calamus, or a hollow shafted sort of backbone that runs all the way through, but then you'll notice the contour feather has those interlocking barbs that keep their shape, while the down feather has long flexible barbs that are better for insulation. Birds need a ton of energy in order to fly. They are going to obtain or acquire this energy by breaking down food really quickly. Not only does this give them the energy to fly, breaking down food quickly also generates heat, and they need that heat to maintain their body temperature. The average body temperature for a bird is actually 40 degrees Celsius. We usually measure in Fahrenheit, but 40 degrees Celsius is actually over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's warmer than the average body temperature of a human. Birds are not able to cool off in the same way that other mammals are. For instance, birds can't sweat. They don't pant in the same way as a dog, but in order to cool off, they do have their own form of panting, and they are able to lay their feathers flat, which releases some of that heat as well. If you want to see this video about the hummingbird and how much energy it consumes, I will post it on my website. Birds eat a lot because they need a lot of energy. Hummingbirds, like the one you saw on the previous screen, are eating almost constantly. Most birds eat insects, nuts, seeds, and meat. In other words, they are both omnivores or sometimes straight carnivores as well. These are foods that are high in protein and high in fat because we have this high need for energy. We want the food sources that are going to provide the most bang for the buck. There are some birds that are omnivores as well, herbivores as well. They eat only plants. Birds like geese eat grass and leaves. Modern birds, so the birds we see outside today, don't have teeth, so they can't chew. Instead, they have a specialized structure called the gizzard, where food is stored and digested. There are little stones inside of the gizzard that sort of work like teeth to mechanically digest, to physically break down all the pieces that the bird swallows. The crop is like the holding cell, sort of the second mouth, if you will, that holds food until the gizzard is ready to break it down. The gizzard acts sort of like human teeth. And now we make it to probably the most exciting characteristic that birds share, or most birds share. Most birds can fly. Scientists that see the world in terms of evolution think that the birds had ancestors that can't have ancestors that could fly. I don't know what I mean by that. I think what I mean is that birds, if you follow the evolutionary chain, are the first animals that are able to fly in this thread. Adaptations that allow birds to fly are wings and a super lightweight body. We'll talk about how their body's so lightweight in a little bit. Also powerful flight muscles and a rapidly beating heart, which allows them to get lots and lots of oxygen-rich blood to those muscles that are responsible for keeping them in the air. Birds are going to flap their wings in order to get into the air, and every time that they flap, they're producing a force called lift. Lift is an upward force that an object moves in a fluid. Remember that a fluid can be both a solid or a liquid, a liquid or a gas. Sort of interesting that we usually think of a fluid as being a liquid, but a gas is also able to change shape. And so this video on the screen will explain a little bit more about those muscles and the lungs and the super strong circulatory system, all those things we talked about on the last screen, and how they combine to make the bird able to fly. That video, again, will be posted on my website. The way that birds reproduce is similar to the way that reptiles reproduce. We talked about that on our very first slide as well. Birds will reproduce through internal fertilization. So both birds and reptiles reproduce this way, and they both lay eggs in amniotic sacs. That means that there is a specialized sac inside of the shell that provides the baby bird with nutrients. Unlike reptiles, birds have to keep their eggs warm in order for the embryos to live and to grow. So ironically, even though our birds are endotherms and can maintain an internal body temperature, their eggs don't have that ability. Their eggs have to stay warmed by an outside source in order to live and to grow. Birds lay their eggs in nests. Nests are important for the process called brooding, which is where the birds sit and cover the eggs to keep them warm until they hatch. Another term for brooding would be incubation. In many species of birds, the female is in charge of brooding over the egg, and the male brings food and anything else that's needed to the brooding female. Think of it as the lady stays home and the man goes to the store and gets all the stuff that's needed. There are some species where it's the opposite, though. The male is going to brood over the egg, and the female will go out and get everything that is needed. There are two types of chicks that we can talk about. Chicks, remember, are the baby birds that hatch out of the eggs. Some of them, precocial chicks, hatch covered in downy feathers. So a chick like a baby chicken would be an example of a precocial chick. As soon as they can stand, these chicks are going to follow their parents around on foot. They depend on their mother's warmth for protection. They can walk, though, and swim and feed themselves. Atrial chicks are chicks that have no feathers when they hatch. Their eyes are actually closed. They can't do anything for themselves. They can't walk. They can't fly. Their parents have to continue to support them almost as if they were in the egg by keeping them warm, and now actually by feeding them as well for several weeks as they continue to grow and to develop. And that is the end of our introduction to birds. So for homework today, you have your choice between two different things. You can choose to do the examination activity that is posted on my website, or if you would prefer, you can do the diagram of a bird activity. There is a picture of a bird that you can use as your muse on page 123. Remember, you'll turn in a picture of your work and label the organs that I ask for in that assignment. The assignments are posted separately on my website, so you choose one or the other to do, and then make sure that is turned in by 2 p.m. on Friday. Let me know if you have any questions, and have a great day.